Alright, let's get another market view in now. Raamdeo Agrawal, Joint MD of Motilal Oswal Financial Services, is with us. Raamdeo, hi, good morning. First up, the brass tacks question. What is your expectation, or do you have any expectations at all from the vote on account this time?
No, I mean, as usual, there is no expectation from.
Audio issue, so we're just going to try and rectify that and come back to you, Raamdeo, in a bit. But before that, for the markets itself, Anuj, it's been a quiet session so far. So 60-70 on the Nifty, I think just waiting and watching ahead of the event.
Indeed, Sonia, very low volumes as well, 21,000 crores. So 1 hour, I mean, first half an hour has passed, and the market is looking for some kind of action. Some PSUs are running, Sonia. MTNL is up 5%. I mean, this is just one thing I wanted to point out. So traders looking at individual stocks and what could come about, you know, like ITI, HMTs and all, they may get active as we move towards the
It looks like the market wants to go bullish, probably because of the global cues and the manner in which Wall Street has reacted. The dollar index itself is clearly in risk-prone mood at 80.7, quite away from that 81 mark. So market wants to take risk, and I think it's taking it in some of the stocks that have moved on over the weekend news, like Tata Power moving up 2.3, hoping that there will be no immediate reversals, at least from the Delhi government. If we can go to Raamdeo. All right, let's try with Raamdeo Agrawal yet again. Sorry about that, Raamdeo, for some last minute glitches. But yeah, what are you watching for in this budget? Will the fiscal deficit number and how it was achieved for the current year be material to you?
Yeah, I think apart from the accounting numbers, I think a good speech from the minister, you know, kind of a farewell speech kind of thing, and his maybe what they couldn't achieve, and the challenges for the next finance minister. And I think one of the most brilliant things which has happened in recent times is that they've installed a brilliant governor who has taken the responsibility of containing the inflation, CPI more like around 5% or something like that. So that fight against the inflation has become the main, you know, kind of war. And what are his thoughts on that, and how things are going to shape up? Because if you have a CPI history of about 8.5%, 9% for last 25-30 years, and now you're targeting about 5%, I think you're talking about different world altogether. So is that that serious, or it's just another mockery, or they're not serious about that? So I think some of those thoughts will come in his speech, hopefully.
Raamdeo, hi, morning. Is there anything that can break the market? Anything negative that can come about, like last year, which you know the market does not like? Is there a risk as we head into this event, especially because this is the election year as well?
I don't think they're empowered to do anything back-breaking. In any case, what they do can be reversed in next 2 months. So why should they do anything which is going to be? I mean, I think they will try to make it as populist as possible, because this is the last bit they can do before the election, and in any case the ratings are not very high. So I don't think one should expect any major surprises either way, a positive side or a negative side.
There can't be any tinkering with tax rates this time because that needs parliamentary approval. But on the indirect taxes front, are you expecting anything? I mean, there's some talk of, you know, excise duty and service tax cut, but those are all just flying around. Are you expecting anything on indirect taxes?
See, on the whole, the tax mobilization effort will be very, very limited, in the sense that really commas here and there, and so 1,000 to 2,000 crores plus minus in terms of aggregate mobilization or demobilization doesn't really matter much for the markets. So I would expect that this is just a date, it is an event which is just about to get over, and then the full-fledged election mood will come into play. So I would just sit and watch his speech and see the numbers, how they have achieved the 4.8%.
Somehow I have this nasty feeling that it's going to be achieved by more jugglery than any clean policies. But anyway, we will know that, of course, in an hour or so. Nilesh Shah of Envision is also joining us. Good morning, Nilesh. Good to have you with us as well. Well, how are you going into this event? Will it be a one-day wonder, or can there be a little bit of a lasting impact?
Well, I'm not even sure there will be a one-day wonder. It could even just be a one-hour wonder, in the sense that probably, obviously there's going to be a lot of talk. I think there's going to be a lot of self-pat saying is that, you know, where India or the economy was a year back, particularly in terms of all the deficits, CAD, fiscal deficit, and how the red line has not been crossed. And I think a commendable job at least has been done on that front. In terms of trying to kind of rein in the deficit. I mean, we might want to argue that it's because of a lot of one-offs and all that, but I think the whole telecom auction, I think, was a wonderful achievement, given the kind of controversy which was surrounding the sector, and given that the sector was kind of single-handedly blamed for all the woes of the investment climate in India. I think in that context, what got achieved in terms of the auction amount of 61,000 crores, I think is a fantastic kind of an achievement, and I think that's, going to be a big positive, and I think it clearly indicates that if there is a will on the part of the government, a lot can be achieved, and I think a lot of these things will also get mentioned and talked about in that half an hour or 1 hour speech.
Okay, no, there is a mild optimism in your note, there is a mild green on the markets, and Raamdeo Agrawal is absolutely enthusiastic about the governor. Let me come back to that, Raamdeo. You know, the governor can do what he wants and say what he wants about 5%, but when you read the report, you very well know that the government has to buy in. If the government announces a 6.3 lakh crore borrowing program, which it has to, I don't see how they can't do that. There will be 15,000 crores hitting the market come April every Friday, and the market doesn't have that appetite. Of an inflation of 5% can be achieved only if the RBI doesn't come in and buy those bonds. It has to be bought by the market, and it has to be bought at 9% and less. If the market says, no, I won't pay anything less than 9.25 for this, then you are going to have a problem there. So really, how are you going to approach this markets from now to the elections, even with this 6.3 lakh borrowing program? Do you see that that can hang on the markets and, you know, hang on at least the bank nifty?
As far as the market is concerned, I think market is much beyond just the watching this, government numbers. If you look at just concluded earnings season, we have done wonderfully well, 4-5% higher than what is consensus estimates. The exporters in tech and pharmaceuticals, they have taken the lead, and the earnings have grown at about 14-15%. Actually, the Sensex earnings have grown by 20%. Now we are talking about this particular year ending, 13-14 ending at 13.25 kind of a consensus estimate, which makes it the current market exactly at 15 times. Very reasonably priced, and next year earnings estimate is more like upwards of 1,500 rupees. So I would think that market is very evenly poised, and come what may, I mean, you can always depress the market by 4-5%, 7%. But it will be very tough to break down the market from current levels if these earnings forecasts are right.
Nilesh, coming on this, we've seen the earnings season go past now. The next trigger, of course, will be elections. What do the markets do between now and then? Solely look at the global cues, and do you think we have a floor in place because there's an election which is there in the next 3 months or so?
Yeah, I think between now and say May, I think there are two important events. One is what the opinions polls continue to say, because it looks like that even not just a week but even a day is a very long time in politics. So far, of course, the opinion polls are indicating a better performance for the NDA, and with every sequential opinion poll, the tally just keeps increasing. So I think if that trend continues, I think that's going to provide a lot of consolation and solace to the markets. I think one is that. Two is that over the last 3 to 4 quarters, this market is heading higher purely because of technology. Technology is the huge outperformer, and it has now a very decent weight. NASSCOM has just come in and said that Indian IT companies will grow at 15%. Now, if come April, mid-April, and if TCS, Infosys come in and say that we'll do as much or even we'll do better than that, then I think that can provide a huge leg up to the market. So I think these are some of the positives. The negatives, I think, will continue to be banks. The banking sector still looks bad. It will probably get worse before it gets any better. With the kind of borrowing program which Lata was alluding to earlier, I think that's going to put a huge pressure on the banking sector. And in a way, the markets will force the next government to do something very drastic, dramatic and concrete for the banking sector, in terms of it will send enough signals. So I probably think that in a way some kind of balancing act will go on between now and May in terms of the different sectors of the market.
So how will you buy? Do you go into the election event up until May? Will you top up on IT? Will you nibble in banks? Because things are so bad that something has to be done. What's the stock positions?
I'd still probably think that banking can still be avoided. There'll be enough opportunities to really buy. The kind of problems which the banking sector is facing is more structural rather than cyclical in nature, so you'll get enough opportunities to buy. And therefore, clearly it's the technology, pharmaceuticals. I think these are some of the sectors one has to look forward to. Consumer has already corrected quite a bit. A lot of the leading consumer names are down 20-30% from their highs, and typically slowdown in consumer happens towards the fag end of any slowdown that you witness in the economy. So I think that's one sector you probably want to be at least be market weight or neutral, if not underway. And of course banks one should continue to avoid and keep topping up on technology and pharmaceutical.
Okay, Raamdeo, come in on that. You were talking about earnings season and we had some serious performers, you know, some of them in the auto space, etc. If you had to give us 4 or 5 stocks that one can put incremental money into right now, what looks like a good candidate?
You know, naming the stocks are tough, but you know, the sector clearly, the export orientation, the weak currency, you know, what is happening is a weak domestic economy is leading to weaker rupee, and that is bolstering the profitability of the export competitiveness of Indian products. So you still have opportunity to buy into some of the tech companies. I still think that most of the tech companies in India, they are available at very reasonable prices. Say like TechM is at 14 times, Infosys is at about 18 times. Even TCS itself, which is growing fastest, though it is the largest, they have ambition to grow faster than what is the NASSCOM 15% projection. So if they grow in dollar terms about 18-19%, I think that looks still very promising kind of candidate. Then you look at the even pharma side. I mean, like Sun Pharma grew at almost 75%. So I think one of the staggering thing is that not only these companies are large, they are the biggest and most admired. They are also growing fastest. And suddenly 75% grower doesn't become 5% grower. So you have a lot more to look forward to. They look a little expensive, but they are the ones which are going to perform. So I think this is going to be the rules of the game, or the winners are going to be very different. They are going to be very large, very concentrated, but the big and most admired ones will be the ones which will win.
All right, Raamdeo, Nilesh, thank you very much for joining us. And what could be the crucial announcement from the government? We have to take a break on that note, but we have more important guests waiting to join us. Dinesh Kanabar.